If you looked at me, you might assume my favorite genre of movie would be action or sci-fi or maybe even horror. But actually, my favorite genre is the rom-com because it is the most difficult genre to perfect. Finding the right balance between being funny and being emotional is challenging, and most films fail because of that lack of balance. A lack of balance is some horse shit like Just Friends. Cringe. Gross. A good balance is like High School Musical 2, which is a banger. However, the right filmmaker will look at rom-coms and understand that this genre is boring because it's too difficult. How can you possibly craft a film that all audiences will enjoy when the rules of the genre are humor and sex? Simple, just add some spice. Hitman isn't a masterpiece, but it is a perfect rom-com. More importantly, the film utilizes the rom-com formula to emphasize the important themes within the narrative. Identity is the biggest dagger in Gary Johnson's life. He lives alone, has a couple cats, and works a job as a teacher. The narration tells us that he is comfortable with his life, but the cinematography says otherwise. Instead of quick cuts of his real life, we hold on him, sitting in his kitchen. Alone. He may own cats, but does he really love his cats? I can't get enough of my cat, she's amazing, but Gary looks rather bored. Gary's life is shown as depressing, which is why he leads a secret double life to escape his identity. But even at his fake work, his coworkers still think he's a joke. He goes on a little rant about birds and they make fun of him, like Gary can't catch a break. He has fallen so far into this isolated pit of despair that he would rather live life as someone else, as the hitman, instead of himself. Gary tells the audience that he feels more alive and respected when he's the hitman. And this is Gary at his lowest moment. Who even is Gary Johnson if not a forgotten soul trapped inside a man who cannot accept who he is? And that's why love is so necessary. It takes Gary's ex-wife, probably should have added that to the list earlier, to tell him that this hitman shit is bad for him and that he needs to find someone who will appreciate the real Gary Johnson. Someone weird who likes birds or cats. Well, actually, she likes dogs and her name is Maddie. Every great romance is balanced. No side is more important to the relationship than the other. And that statement could not be more exemplified than in Hitman. What starts as a simple conversation, Gary living out a lie,
sounds lovely,
and Maddie stuck in an awful situation, blossoms into such a unique relationship. Gary is weird. Maddie is like that times 12. Her husband's a dick, so her solution is to murder him. Get this crazy woman sent to jail. But in that moment, Gary pauses. Here is a woman conflicted about her life choices, someone ready to risk everything just to escape her reality. A person who would love nothing more than a slice of pie.
all pie is good pie.
She is someone who won't accept her identity. And in that moment, the hitman facade fades and Gary comes to the rescue. What follows is a romance fueled on attraction, lies, and escapism, but ultimately necessary for these two characters. The beauty of Hitman lies in the vulnerability of its characters. Richard Linklater, I haven't seen anything from the guy because I just turned 12 5 weeks ago, but I do know that he is a master when it comes to crafting vulnerable characters. However, Hitman is very subtle about it. Gary Johnson is not good with women, but he hides that fact through Ron the Hitman. Flip-flop, Maddie can't handle conflict. When her husband suspiciously shows up at the nightclub, she instinctively hides behind Gary despite cold calling her husband to show up in the first place so that Ron would kill him. Body movements, gestures, and suggestive lines of dialogue relay information to the audience about these characters and their vulnerability. Even with the masks these characters wear daily, Gary and Maddie are total open books. You have to pay attention, which leads right back to the core of this film, identity. Eventually, everybody has to fold. But in a regular rom-com, the guy would reveal some secret to the girl, she would hate him, and then they would make up or make love at the end of the movie. Hitman once again subverts the drama with a resolution to the core issue of these two characters. Shit hits the fan, Maddie kills her husband, Gary reveals his true identity, everything is cooked, except not really. These two found each other out of necessity because they filled the holes each other lacked. They each needed someone weird, awkward, silly, loving. Both individuals lived isolated lives where they had no one, and they hid their true selves from the world out of a desire to be seen. But sometimes all it takes is one person to bring out one's true identity. Hitman's subversion is murder. Simple, Gary. Can't hurt a fly, fucking kills a guy because of blackmail. And in that moment, Gary accepted himself. No more pretending to be somebody he's not. In that moment, Gary understood that there was only one person in his life he felt sane around, and he would do anything to be with her, and vice versa. And they lived happily ever after, bringing out the best in each other. And really, that's the true takeaway. Love brings out identity. True or fake, finding that special person who makes you feel unique and wanted. Hitman is such a strange film to have impactful themes, but only a master like Linklater could bring together this message in a rom-com no less. It's dumb that Netflix picked this up because Hitman needs to be seen on the big screen. It's got its problems. The dialogue is good only most of the time. Not every joke lands, and the supporting cast kinda sucks. But when you have amazing leads that have great chemistry and a wonderful story, you can't go wrong. And before I go, Glenn Powell. The movie star is dead? Excuse me? I'm putting all my chips on Powell. In one movie, he's doing Patrick Bateman, he's doing Tilda Swinton, he's doing Swamp People. His performance is electric and extremely memorable. But like with all rom-coms, there needs to be balance.
Adria Arjona
Delivers a wonderful performance that exuberates leading material. When Gary is interrogating her over the death of Ray, there's this one take and you see every emotion in her eyes. Beautiful stuff. Put her on the big screen. Banger movie.